Ladies and gentlemen, look, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. Life is hard, and the truth is, no one's coming to save you. Not your parents, not your boss, not some politician, and definitely not some magic app on your phone. We live in a world where it's easier than ever to distract yourself, but harder than ever to actually face the mirror. This talk, it's not about blaming anyone, it's about owning your sock, it's about waking up and realizing you're the problem and you're the solution. Because let me tell you something, the clock is ticking. Your body, your mind, your relationships, your potential, they're all screaming for you to pay attention. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, tired of being weak, tired of living a life that's less than what you know you're capable of, then buckle up. It's time to fix yourself before it's too damn late. If there's one truth that separates people who rise from those who stay stuck, it's this: no one is coming to save you. That's not meant to discourage you. It's meant to wake you up. For too long, too many people wait. They wait for perfect timing, for someone to give them a shot, for motivation to magically appear. They wait for a partner, a coach, a mentor, or a sign from the universe to validate their next move. But the harsh truth is, the world doesn't owe you anything. And the faster you accept that, the faster you start taking control of your life. Responsibility is power. The second you take full ownership of where you are, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, you take your power back. Because if it's your fault, then it's also in your hands to change. That's the mindset shift most people never make. They're too busy pointing fingers at their past, their upbringing, their circumstances. And yeah, maybe life dealt you a bad hand. Maybe you didn't get the same opportunities others did. But you know what? It doesn't matter. What matters is what you do with what you've got. You can't keep blaming your parents, your ex, your boss, or the economy forever. At some point, you've got to draw the line and say, enough. This is on me now. Because the second you keep handing responsibility to someone else, you're giving them control over your life. And that's the quickest way to stay miserable. You'll stay broke, broken, and bitter if you keep waiting for someone to fix it for you. The truth is, no one cares as much about your life as you do. No one is lying awake at night wondering how to help you reach your potential. That's your job. You've got to become your own hero. You've got to be the one who shows up, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's when growth happens. Not when things are easy, not when you feel good, when it's uncomfortable, when it's inconvenient, when no one's watching. Responsibility isn't just about taking blame. It's about taking ownership of your direction. It's asking yourself hard questions. Are my daily habits aligned with the life I say I want? Am I showing up as the person I expect others to be? Am I putting in the work or just fantasizing about the results? Those questions aren't easy, but they're necessary, because real change starts with brutal honesty. You don't get stronger by outsourcing your struggle. You get stronger by facing it. You can't become resilient if you're always being rescued. Growth requires pressure. Transformation requires discomfort. And if you're constantly looking for someone else to pull you out of your mess, you'll never build the muscle it takes to stay out of it. The people who win in life aren't necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. They're the ones who wake up and say, this is on me. My life is my responsibility. And then they back it up with action. They show up. They put in the reps. They learn from failure and keep moving forward. That's the difference. That's the edge. Most people will never get there because they'd rather stay comfortable than take control. They'd rather stay victims than become warriors. But the few who get it, the few who stop waiting and start acting, those are the ones who rise. Those are the ones who build something real, something lasting, not because someone handed it to them, but because they decided it was up to them. And they committed fully, no excuses, no backup plan, just ownership, total, radical, relentless ownership. Discipline over motivation. That phrase alone can change your entire life if you actually live by it. Motivation is a feeling. It's fleeting, unreliable, and inconsistent. One day it's there, the next it's gone. It shows up when things are exciting, when you're pumped, when there's a spark. But what happens when you wake up tired? What happens when the weather sucks, when your mood's off, when life hits you in the face? That's when discipline takes over. That's when you find out who you really are. Discipline is showing up when you don't feel like it. It's getting your workout done, even when you're drained. It's sitting down to work when your brain wants to scroll endlessly. It's choosing the healthy meal when junk food is calling your name. Discipline is boring, repetitive, uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it works. Because every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're building something powerful inside yourself. You're training your mind to obey you, not your feelings. People talk about motivation like it's the key to success. They watch hype videos, scroll through quotes, and wait to feel inspired. But successful people, they don't rely on inspiration. They rely on habits. They rely on structure. They have a system, and they stick to it whether they're motivated or not. That's what separates the pros from the amateurs. Amateurs wait to feel good. Pros get it done regardless. You don't build a strong body by training only on the days you're motivated. You build it by showing up every single day, even when it sucks. You don't build a business by working when it's fun. You build it by grinding through the long hours, the rejections, the doubt. You don't master a craft by practicing only when you feel inspired. You do it by staying consistent when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when it's just you and the work. That's where discipline shines. It's the quiet force behind every great achievement. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, but it's unstoppable. And once you lock into it, once you make it a part of who you are, you become dangerous. Because you're no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You become someone who does what needs to be done, no matter what. That's real power. Every time you skip a session, every time you put things off for tomorrow, every time you let your feelings dictate your actions, you weaken your momentum. You lose ground. But every time you push through, every time you choose the hard thing, you grow. You get a little sharper, a little tougher, a little more in control. And that adds up. That compounds over time. You may not see the results instantly, but they're coming. The discipline you put in today is the strength you feel tomorrow. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. You'll fall off. You'll miss days. But you don't stay down. You don't wallow. You don't throw in the towel. You get back to the routine. You keep your standards high. You remind yourself why you started. Because when you operate with discipline, your goals stop being optional. They become non-negotiable. They become part of your identity. You want a better life. You want real change. Stop waiting to feel like it. Start doing it regardless. Set the alarm, hit the gym, do the work, make the call, write the page, whatever it is. Do it even when every part of you wants to quit. That's the edge. That's how you become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about growth, but actually lives it, not once in a while, every day, over and over, until it's second nature, until it's who you are. Cut the bullshit. That means every excuse, every half-truth you tell yourself, every distraction you cling to when things get uncomfortable. If you're serious about changing your life, you have to get brutally honest with yourself. No more pretending you're just tired when you're actually just avoiding the work. No more saying, I don't have time, when your screen time says otherwise. No more blaming the world, your past, or your environment for the fact that you're not where you want to be. Growth starts when the lies stop. The problem is, most people are addicted to their own excuses. They've rehearsed them so many times, they've started to believe them. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too busy. I'm not ready. It's all noise. It's all a defense mechanism to avoid the discomfort of growth. Because real growth requires you to get uncomfortable. It requires effort, consistency, sacrifice, and that's not fun. So the mind will do whatever it can to pull you back to comfort, to safety, to routine. That's why most people never change. They want results, but they don't want to give up their excuses. You have to become the kind of person who calls themselves out, who doesn't let the soft, weak version of themselves run the show, because that version of you will always find a way to avoid the hard things. That version of you is scared. It wants short-term comfort, not long-term growth. You've got to kill that version of you off. Starve it. Stop feeding it with validation, justification, or sympathy. Start feeding the version of you that wants to dominate, that wants to win. Distractions are part of the same game. They're just excuses in disguise. Mindless scrolling, binge-watching, gossiping, partying, overthinking. It's all the same thing. It's all a way to avoid facing your own potential. Because deep down, stepping into your full power is terrifying. It means responsibility. It means standards. It means no more hiding. So instead, people stay busy with nothing. They fill their days with noise, not purpose. They stay in motion but go nowhere. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. Cutting the bullshit means stripping everything down to what really matters. Are you doing the things that move you forward, or are you just staying busy to avoid the real work? That's the filter. Every habit, every action, every thought, does this serve the person I'm becoming? If the answer's no, it's got to go. It doesn't matter if it's comfortable. It doesn't matter if it feels good. You either want to grow or you want to stay the same. You can't have both. And don't confuse honesty with being hard on yourself. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about getting clear, getting real, being relentless with your standards. You have goals, then act like it. Stop negotiating with your excuses. Stop treating discipline like a sometimes thing. Start treating your time, energy, and focus like the sacred resources they are. Because once they're gone, they don't come back. There are people out there with fewer resources, harder lives, and bigger obstacles who are still showing up and making it happen. Not because it's easy, but because they cut the noise. They decided that their dreams were worth more than their distractions. They stopped lying to themselves about why they couldn't. They started focusing on all the reasons they must. And that shift changed everything. You have the same ability. But it starts with that raw, unfiltered self-confrontation. That moment where you stop running. Stop blaming. Stop waiting. You look yourself in the mirror and say, "It's on me." All of it. And from that point forward, you eliminate anything that doesn't serve that mission. No compromise. No negotiation. Just clarity, focus, and the willingness to do what needs to be done. Build your body. Sharpen your mind. Those two things are the foundation. Without them, everything else crumbles. You can't expect to operate at a high level when your physical health is falling apart or your mind is scattered and weak. You want discipline. It starts in your body. You want clarity, confidence, and control. It starts in your mind. The two are connected. You train one, you strengthen the other. You neglect one, the other suffers too. Most people live in their heads all day, overthinking, overanalyzing, but they never do the physical work that grounds them. And then they wonder why they feel lost. Your body is your vehicle through life. It's your foundation. And how you treat it reflects how serious you are about showing up. If you can't get your ass out of bed early, if you can't move your body, fuel it right, and challenge it regularly, you're already losing. You don't need to be a bodybuilder or run marathons, but you do need to be strong, capable, and sharp, because life will throw things at you. Stress, pain, adversity. It's coming. And when your body is weak, your mind folds. When your body is untrained, your emotions take over. But when you're physically strong, you have a base. You have a sense of control, a place to stand when everything else feels chaotic. Training your body isn't just about aesthetics. It's about discipline. It's about showing up and doing hard things. It's about proving to yourself daily that you have control over your actions. That when it's cold, when it hurts, when you want to quit, you still move. That builds a mindset. That builds grit. That transfers into everything. You stop flinching at the first sign of pressure. You start leaning in. You develop a standard that says, "I do hard things because that's who I am." And while you're building the body, you've got to sharpen the mind, because a strong body with a weak mind is a wasted machine. You've got to read. You've got to reflect. You've got to put yourself in mental discomfort. Turn off the noise. Learn to sit in silence. Learn to think, to process, to face your own thoughts without distraction. Your mind is a tool, but most people let it become a cage. They never challenge it. They let anxiety run wild. They stay reactive instead of intentional. They absorb information but never reflect on it. You can't lead yourself, let alone anyone else, if your mind is chaotic. Sharpening your mind is about mental reps. It's about consuming with purpose, not just for stimulation. It's about choosing books over endless scrolling. It's about controlling your input so your thoughts don't get hijacked. It's about being intentional with your focus and filtering your attention like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. The more you sharpen your mind, the better your decisions become. The better your decisions, the better your life. The process of growth is uncomfortable, both physically and mentally, but that discomfort is the training ground. That's where the edge is. Every rep in the gym, every early morning, every deep dive into a book when you'd rather be distracted, that's you forging yourself into something better. It's not easy, but it works, and it builds real, unshakable confidence. Not the kind that comes from compliments or likes, but the kind that comes from knowing you've done the work. You've fought the internal battles. You've earned your peace. Most people try to fix their lives from the outside in. New job, new relationship, new location. But the real shift happens from the inside out. Get strong, get focused. Train your body to be capable. Train your mind to be sharp. That's how you build a foundation that doesn't break. That's how you become unshakable when everything else falls apart. It doesn't matter what life throws at you if you've built yourself to handle it. Surround yourself with winners, not enablers. Who you allow into your circle shapes the way you think, act, speak, and ultimately live. You can have all the discipline in the world, but if you're constantly around people who pull you backwards, who drain your energy, who validate your worst habits, you're fighting uphill every single day. You become like the people you spend the most time with. That's not some motivational quote. That's biology and psychology. We mirror what we're exposed to. So if the people around you aren't pushing you to level up, you're slowly leveling down whether you realize it or not. Look at your circle. Are they talking about goals, strategy, progress, or are they gossiping, complaining, making excuses, and partying their lives away? Are they challenging you when you slip or silently nodding because they don't want to make things awkward? Winners don't coddle your excuses. Winners don't let you stay stuck. They call you out because they want to see you win. And sometimes that kind of honesty stings. But that sting is what creates growth. The people who truly care about you aren't the ones who let you slide. They're the ones who hold the standard even when you resist it. Enablers, on the other hand, are dangerous. They're comfortable to be around because they don't challenge your mediocrity. They'll tell you it's okay to skip the gym. They'll tell you that you deserve a break, even when what you really need is a push. They'll pat you on the back while you slowly sabotage your own potential. And it's not because they're evil. It's usually because they don't want to feel bad about their own lack of progress. If you level up, it forces them to confront where they're falling short. So they keep you small to protect their own comfort. Winners inspire you just by how they live. You see their work ethic, their focus, their clarity, and it makes you want to be better, not out of jealousy, but out of respect, out of ambition. Being around winners reminds you of what's possible. It gives you a higher standard to measure yourself against. And that friction you feel when you're around someone who's ahead of you, that's the edge. That's what keeps you honest. You don't need to compete with them. You need to learn from them, train with them, grow with them, because proximity is power, and it's not just about finding successful people. It's about finding aligned people, people who value growth, discipline, integrity, people who don't just talk but execute. You can't build a disciplined, focused, powerful life if your circle is full of distractions, negativity, and emotional chaos. That kind of environment kills momentum. It keeps you reactive instead of proactive. It traps you in cycles that feel normal, but are actually toxic. Sometimes leveling up means leaving people behind, and that's hard, especially when they've been around for years. But time doesn't equal alignment. Loyalty doesn't mean tolerating stagnation. If someone truly values your growth, they'll grow with you, or at the very least, support your evolution. If they resist it, mock it, or try to hold you back, that's your sign. You don't owe anyone your potential. You owe it to yourself to build a life that reflects what you're capable of. Audit your circle. Who sharpens you? Who challenges you? Who raises the standard just by how they live? And who, if you're honest, makes it easier for you to settle. Make those distinctions clear. Because your environment either pulls you forward or holds you back. There is no neutral. If you want to rise, you need to surround yourself with people who are rising. People who are obsessed with progress, who live with intention, who refuse to tolerate less than what they're capable of. That's the kind of energy that transforms you. That's the kind of circle that doesn't just watch you grow. They demand it. Act now. Time isn't on your side. That's the truth most people don't want to face. They think they have more time. They assume tomorrow will come. They delay action thinking one day they'll feel more ready, more confident, more clear. But time doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't care about your fears, your doubts, your excuses. It just keeps moving. Every second you waste is a second you'll never get back. And the brutal part is you don't even know how much time you have left. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to shake you awake. Most people live like they're going to live forever. They scroll, they procrastinate, they entertain distractions like they've got unlimited chances. But the truth is, you don't. You've got a limited number of days, a finite number of opportunities, and every one you waste, you lose. You don't get a refund on lost time. You don't get a second shot at yesterday. Every day you put it off, the gap between where you are and where you could be gets wider. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to close that gap. You have to stop thinking that action is something you'll do later. Later is a lie. Later is the graveyard of potential. Later is where dreams go to die. If it matters, do it now. If it's uncomfortable, do it now. If it scares you, do it now. That urgency is the edge. That urgency is how you build momentum. You can't wait for the perfect plan because there isn't one. You can't wait for motivation because it's unreliable. You can't wait for permission because no one's going to hand it to you. you have to move. Taking action doesn't mean having it all figured out. It means doing what you can with what you have right now. It means starting messy, learning fast, and adjusting along the way. The people who win aren't the ones who waited until they were ready. They're the ones who moved before they felt ready and figured it out on the way up. That's how real growth happens. You act, you fail, you adapt, you evolve. And the faster you start, the faster you grow. The longer you sit still, the more resistance builds. You overthink, you doubt, you hesitate. Momentum dies. The mind starts feeding you reasons to stay put. Fear grows louder. Excuses feel more valid. And before you know it, months pass, then years, and nothing changes. You're still stuck in the same place with the same problems, wondering why nothing's different. It's because you didn't move. You didn't act when it mattered. There's never going to be a perfect time to change. Life will always be busy. Things will always be uncertain, but if you keep using that as a reason to wait, you'll look back one day full of regret. Regret not because you failed, but because you never even gave yourself the chance to find out what could have been. That kind of regret haunts people more than failure ever could. You owe it to yourself to take action now. Not tomorrow, not next week now. Even if it's small, even if it's uncomfortable, that first step creates motion. That motion builds energy, and that energy is what breaks you out of the cycle. Waiting is easy, acting is hard. That's why it works. That's why it changes you, because most people won't do it. Most people stay in the loop, convincing themselves that they have time, when in reality, time is slipping through their fingers every single day. This moment, right now, is the only thing you can control. You can't fix yesterday, you can't predict tomorrow, but you can own this second. You can make a decision, you can shift your direction. That's all it takes to start. One move, one action. And from there, everything begins to change. Not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you finally got serious. Because you stopped waiting. Because you stopped living like time was guaranteed.